The crack of gunfire echoed across the Pinterest shooting range as Abigail Harris stood at the entrance clutching her registration form. Her petite frame seemed at odds with the testosterone-filled atmosphere of the exclusive club. As she approached the front desk, conversations faded to hushed whispers and subtle snickers. A tall, imposing man with silver-streaked hair looked up from his conversation, his eyes narrowing as they settled on Abigail. "Can I help you?" he asked, his tone suggesting she had wandered into the wrong building. His name tag read Aiden Jenkins, President. "Yes, I'm here for the qualification round," Abigail replied, her voice steady despite the growing discomfort. "I registered online last week." She slid her confirmation across the polished mahogany counter. Aiden picked up the paper with 2 fingers, eyebrows rising as he scanned the document. "Miss Harris, is it? I see you've signed up for the advanced division," he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "That's our top-tier competition. Perhaps there's been a misunderstanding. We have a beginner's course that might be more appropriate for someone like yourself." The emphasis on someone like yourself hung in the air, heavy with implication. Around them, several men in expensive shooting gear exchanged knowing looks and poorly concealed smirks. Abigail's expression remained neutral, though something flickered behind her hazel eyes. "There's no misunderstanding. I've met all the qualification requirements as listed on your website." Aiden's smile tightened as he glanced at his companions who had formed a loose semicircle around them. Among them was his son Gregory, a younger version of himself with the same arrogant stance. "Look, Mom," Aiden said, leaning forward confidentially, "this isn't like shooting at cans in a backyard. Our advanced division includes former military specialists, Olympic-level competitors. I'm sure you understand that we need to maintain certain standards." He slid the registration form back across the counter. "Why don't you step aside and let the serious shooters through? We're very busy today with the regional qualifiers." Abigail didn't move. Instead, her gaze drifted past Aiden to the electronic scoreboard displaying the morning's results. "Your website states that anyone who meets the entry requirements is eligible to compete," she said simply. "I've paid the registration fee, submitted my background check, and fulfilled all prerequisites. I'd like to proceed with my scheduled qualification round." As the tension grew, an older man seated in the corner glanced up from his coffee. His weathered face showed no amusement at the scene. His attention caught on something gleaming at Abigail's collar, a military dog tag that had slipped from beneath her buttoned shirt. His eyes widened slightly in recognition. "Fine," Aiden finally conceded with a dismissive wave. "Lane 15 is open. Don't expect any special treatment when you can't hit the broadside of a barn." Laughter rippled through the group of men as Abigail gathered her paperwork and walked toward the equipment area. 10 years earlier, under the merciless summer sun of a military training facility, a younger Abigail Harris lay prone on scorching desert ground. Through the scope of her rifle, she tracked a target nearly 900 yards away. "Breathe, adjust, squeeze," came the quiet instruction from Captain William Daniels, her tactical shooting instructor. The crack of her shot split the air, followed seconds later by the metallic ping of a perfect hit, dead center. "That's her 5th consecutive bullseye at extreme range," William noted to his colleague, surprise evident in his voice. "I've never seen natural talent like this, especially not from someone who couldn't even hold the rifle properly 6 weeks ago." Abigail remained focused, recalibrating for her next shot. The journey to this moment had been anything but smooth. As one of only 3 women in the specialized tactical program, she had endured quiet skepticism and the constant need to prove herself while her male counterparts received immediate respect. The military had never been Abigail's planned career path. With a degree in mechanical engineering and a natural aptitude for precision systems, she had initially joined to develop targeting mechanisms. But an aptitude test revealed her extraordinary potential as a marksman, and she found herself redirected to the elite sniper program. The transition wasn't easy. Her slender frame struggled with the physical demands, but what her body lacked in brute strength, her mind compensated for with calculation, patience, and an almost supernatural ability to account for every variable. Harris, Captain Daniels had said after her third week of training, when she'd outshot instructors with decades of experience, "You have a gift. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." It was the first time anyone had acknowledged her talent without the unspoken, for a woman, hanging at the end of the sentence. By the end of her training, Abigail had broken 3 long-standing records and developed modifications to standard-issue rifles that were subsequently adopted by her entire unit. Now, a decade later, William Daniels sat in the corner of the Pinterest shooting club, watching his former star pupil being dismissed by men who couldn't dream of matching her skill. He wondered why she'd chosen to keep her extraordinary abilities hidden, why she now worked as an accountant instead of leveraging her skills professionally, but he respected her enough to let her play this out her way. In the equipment room, Abigail methodically inspected the club-provided rifle, her fingers moving with practiced precision over each component. As she worked, she caught sight of her reflection in the polished gun cabinet glass, her face serious, focused, so different from the hesitant recruit she had once been. After her honorable discharge, Abigail had made a conscious choice to step back from the world of competitive shooting, the constant scrutiny, the pressure, the politics. She'd built a quiet life as an accountant, finding satisfaction in the precision of numbers rather than bullets. But something had drawn her back today. Perhaps it was seeing the Pinterest advertisement boasting about their next-generation targeting systems, technology she recognized as derivative of her own designs. Or perhaps it was simply time to stop hiding a fundamental part of who she was. As she finished her preparations, Aiden Jenkins appeared at the doorway, leaning against the frame with casual arrogance. "Hey kid," he called out, "if you want to stay and watch how real shooters perform, I could find something for you to do around here. Filing maybe, coffee runs. Women still need to know their place, don't they?" Abigail didn't respond immediately. She simply turned back to the rifle, completed her final adjustments, and then faced him. "Thank you for the offer, Mr. Jenkins," she said with a politeness that masked the steel beneath. "But I believe I'll just take my scheduled turn at the range instead." The qualifying round at Pinterest was structured as a 3-tier challenge designed to progressively test a shooter's abilities. Most newcomers failed at the second tier. Even experienced marksmen often struggled with the third. Abigail stood at her assigned lane, aware of the eyes watching her with anticipation of failure. Aiden Jenkins stood prominently among the spectators, his arms crossed over his chest. Beside him was Gregory, mimicking his father's posture. "This should be entertaining," Gregory muttered loudly. $10 says she doesn't even hit the paper on the first shot. Several men chuckled, placing informal bets on how quickly Abigail would fail. The first-tier target was positioned at 100 yards. Abigail took her stance, settling the rifle against her shoulder with practiced familiarity. She drew a steady breath, her mind automatically calculating variables. When Abigail pulled the trigger, there was no dramatic recoil, no visible struggle, just a clean, controlled shot. When the target was brought forward for inspection, the bullet hole was precisely through the center. A murmur of surprise rippled through the onlookers. Beginner's luck, Aiden dismissed, though his confident smile had faltered slightly. But the second tier, 3 shots at 200 yards with a crosswind simulation, yielded the same result. 3 perfect shots grouped so closely they formed a single ragged hole. By the time Abigail completed the third tier, a series of moving targets at varying distances, even the most skeptical observers had fallen silent, their disbelief palpable. "Who the hell is she?" one of the club members whispered. "Nobody shoots like that without years of training. Professional training." The question echoed through the group as they struggled to reconcile the unassuming woman before them with the exceptional skill she had just demonstrated. Aiden's face had darkened considerably as he approached Abigail with forced cordiality. "Well, Miss Harris, that was surprisingly competent. You've qualified for the advanced division, though the competition itself is another level entirely. The preliminary round is next Saturday. Perhaps you'll want to reconsider your participation. I'll be here, Abigail replied simply, the quiet certainty in her voice causing Aiden's smile to tighten further. As she turned to leave, she found her path blocked by Gregory Jenkins and two other club members, their expressions no longer amused but wary, even hostile. "We checked backgrounds thoroughly for the advanced division," Gregory said, his voice low and challenging. "Strange that someone with your apparent skill level doesn't show up in any of the usual competitive circuits. Makes one wonder where exactly you learned to shoot like that." Before Abigail could respond, a gravelly voice cut through the tension. "I know exactly who she is." William Daniels had risen from his seat and was approaching the group. All heads turned toward the older man, a respected figure at the club. His gaze didn't leave the eagle insignia visible on Abigail's dog tags. "And I'm willing to stake my 40 years of reputation on her right to compete here." The week before the preliminary round hummed with tension. Behind closed doors, Aiden Jenkins orchestrated a meticulous investigation into Abigail's background, frustrated by the classified nature of her military records. Meanwhile, Abigail and William reconnected at a quiet diner miles from the club. It was impulsive, she admitted when he asked why she entered the competition. "Seeing my own design elements in their advertisement for the new tracking system just triggered something. After 10 years building a life where my gender doesn't make people question my competence. Seeing my innovations showcased in a place that would dismiss me outright. I couldn't ignore it." Her fingers traced the rim of her coffee cup as she added softly, "Maybe it's time to reclaim the part of myself I've hidden for too long." William understood the deeper meaning in her words. He'd witnessed her battles in the military, not just in combat zones, but against systemic biases. Jenkins won't make this easy, he warned. Having a woman, especially one without the right background, show him up would be intolerable to his ego. Saturday arrived with the preliminary round set to narrow 20 competitors to 8 finalists. As Abigail checked in, the intercom crackled. "Abigail Harris, please report to the judges' table immediately. There appears to be an issue with your registration." Aiden and two officials waited with barely concealed satisfaction. "Mrs. Harris," Aiden began formally, "it has come to our attention that there may be irregularities with your qualification." He presented a folder containing redacted military records that questioned her disclosed experience level. "Competitors must disclose all relevant experience," another judge explained. Abigail examined the documents with outward calm. "I followed the guidelines exactly. The form asked for competition experience and formal training courses. I have none in civilian competition, and my military classifications remain under security restrictions." William appeared at her side. "As a founding member familiar with our bylaws, I can confirm that classified military service doesn't fall under the disclosure requirements as written." Unwilling to concede, Aiden pressed another accusation. "There's also the matter of equipment modifications. Our inspection team noted unauthorized alterations to the club rifle during your qualification." For the first time, indignation cracked Abigail's composed exterior. "That's simply untrue. I made standard adjustments, sight alignment, stock positioning, nothing that violates regulations." William intervened again. "I observed the entire qualification. The modifications were within permitted parameters." After a tense silence, another judge awkwardly suggested moving forward with the competition. As Abigail turned to leave, Aiden made one final attempt to regain control. "If you're as good as you claim, you should have no objection to a special exhibition match on our new testing range with the digital monitoring system I just invested in. The most advanced precision tracking equipment available." The room fell silent, recognizing his challenge as both trap and opportunity. "I accept," Abigail said simply. What Aiden couldn't know was that Abigail hadn't just used advanced targeting systems. She had literally written the manual on the technology forming the backbone of his prized new equipment. The exhibition match was scheduled immediately after the preliminary round. Word spread rapidly, drawing rarely seen members to witness the confrontation. Abigail advanced through preliminaries with calculated restraint, qualifying fourth among 8 finalists. Competent enough to advance, but deliberately not dominating. As the regular competition concluded, Aiden commanded center stage. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced to the room that held few women besides Abigail, "we have a special treat today. Pinterest has recently invested in state-of-the-art targeting technology. Today's exhibition will demonstrate this equipment's capabilities and settle questions about our newest competitor's qualification." All eyes shifted to Abigail, who stood quietly at the gathering's edge. "Ms. Harris will demonstrate her skills against mine on the new range. 5 shots at 800 yards with variable wind conditions. The system will analyze every aspect of performance. No room for interpretation, just objective data." The crowd followed Aiden to the new facility, a climate-controlled indoor range with sophisticated wind simulation technology and massive digital displays. Examining the provided rifle, Abigail noticed subtle adjustments designed to disrupt a shooter's rhythm. Slightly off-balance sight alignment, fractionally misaligned stock. Nothing immediately obvious, but enough to affect performance without careful correction. As she settled into position, she spotted something more concerning: a discrepancy in the wind speed indicators. The displayed wind conditions didn't match the actual air currents being generated. Anyone trusting the readouts would miss by inches. Rather than exposing the manipulation, Abigail mentally adjusted her calculations. Her first shot produced a perfect hit despite the challenging conditions, generating surprised murmurs throughout the room. Her second and third shots yielded identical results. By her 5th shot, which grouped so tightly with previous shots they formed virtually a single whole, amazed exclamations replaced murmurs. "Impressive," Aiden acknowledged stiffly before taking his position. As he prepared, Abigail noticed a technician discreetly adjusting the control panel, resetting the system to display accurate wind readings for Aiden's turn. The manipulation was so blatant that several onlookers exchanged uncomfortable glances. Despite shooting well, professionally competent, but lacking Abigail's extraordinary precision, Aiden couldn't match her performance. When the system displayed overall results, the difference was undeniable. Before he could diminish her achievement, Abigail stepped forward. "I believe there may be calibration issues with the system. The wind indicators displayed values that didn't match actual conditions during my round." Aiden's face flushed with embarrassment. "Technical glitches happen with new equipment," he dismissed. "I think we should have one final opportunity," Abigail suggested, "with properly verified equipment and no interference. And I'll take the last shot." With his reputation at stake before so many witnesses, Aiden had little choice. "Fine," he agreed tersely. 1 shot each, maximum distance, verified settings. The range was reset for the final challenge. A single shot at 1,000 yards, the maximum the indoor facility could accommodate. William Daniels personally verified every aspect of the system's calibration. Aiden's preparation was meticulous. His shot landed within 2 inches of dead center, an excellent shot that few could equal. He turned to Abigail with barely concealed triumph. "Your turn, Ms. Harris. That's going to be difficult to beat." Abigail approached with the same quiet focus she'd maintained throughout the day. When she finally squeezed the trigger, there was absolute silence as everyone turned to the digital display. For a moment, the system appeared to glitch, not immediately registering the impact. Then the results appeared, and an audible gasp swept through the room. Her bullet had struck the absolute dead center of the target. A perfect shot at a distance most civilian shooters would consider nearly impossible. But it wasn't just the accuracy that stunned onlookers. The monitor displayed analytics about impact force and velocity exceeding the parameters the system was designed to measure. A warning flashed. Measurement limits exceeded. As implications sank in, all eyes turned to Abigail, seeing her truly for the first time, not as an interloper, but as a master of her craft. A technician approached with confused respect. "Sir, the system is showing unusual readings. According to the database, the shooting pattern and precision metrics match the system's original calibration protocols, the ones provided by the manufacturer's lead designer." William stepped forward, his weathered face breaking into a broad smile. "It means, Aiden, that you've been privileged to witness something remarkable today. The original calibration protocols for this system were developed by Captain Abigail Harris during her service with the Advanced Tactical Systems Division. The patents are classified, but the technology you're so proud of installing, she helped design it." "You designed this system?" Gregory asked incredulously. "Then why are you working as an accountant? Why aren't you competing professionally?" "When I left the service, I wanted a different life, one where I wasn't defined solely by my shooting abilities or military background. The accounting world values precision too, just in a different context. But some skills never leave you, even when you set them aside for a while." The week following Abigail's extraordinary demonstration brought dramatic changes to the club's dynamics. The story had spread rapidly, growing with each retelling until it had taken on almost mythical proportions. Aiden struggled to maintain his authority, insisting during an emergency board meeting, "This doesn't change anything about how the club operates. One exhibition match doesn't entitle her to special treatment." Meanwhile, Abigail was in the club's technical room at the invitation of several board members, examining the malfunctioning display system. She not only repaired the damaged system, but enhanced its performance beyond the original specifications. When Aiden emerged from the boardroom, he found his technical staff gathered around Abigail in rapt attention as she explained complex ballistic calculations. Williams steered his old friend away for a private conversation. "Aiden, I think it's time we talk about the future of Pinterest and the opportunities we're facing." In Williams' office, Aiden finally voiced his fear. "She's going to change everything. Everything I've built here. It will all be different." "Change is coming whether you fight it or not, Aiden. The question is whether you want to be remembered as the man who tried to hold back progress or the one who had the vision to embrace it." 6 months transformed Pinterest Shooting Club almost beyond recognition. The membership had expanded by nearly 30%, with a notable increase in women and younger shooters drawn by the club's newly progressive reputation and cutting-edge training program. At the center of this transformation stood Abigail Harris, whose technical director position had evolved into something far more significant than anyone had initially envisioned. Today marked a significant milestone, the official opening of Pinterest's new training center specifically designed for women and youth shooters. "Before we officially open this new facility," Abigail began, "I want to acknowledge that this moment represents far more than a physical expansion of Pinterest. It represents an expansion of possibility, a recognition that excellence in marksmanship isn't defined by gender, background, or conformity to tradition, but by dedication, precision, and respect for the discipline." As Abigail concluded her remarks and ceremonially cut the ribbon, thunderous applause filled the space. In the midst of the celebration, Abigail found herself approached by Aiden. "Congratulations," he offered, the words simple but delivered with a sincerity that would have been unthinkable during their first encounter. "What you've built here is impressive. More than impressive, it's necessary. I was wrong about many things, Abigail. Not just about you specifically, but about what Pinterest could become, about who belongs in this world." As a television crew arrived to interview Abigail, the reporter asked, "6 months ago, you walked into this club as an outsider and were famously told to step aside. Today, you're cutting ribbons and setting national standards. What would you say to other women facing similar barriers?" Abigail considered the question thoughtfully. I would tell them that expertise speaks for itself when given the opportunity to be demonstrated, and that sometimes the most powerful response to being underestimated is simply to excel so dramatically that the barriers become irrelevant. As the sun began to set, Abigail watched a young girl take her first coached shot under the guidance of a female instructor. The girl's expression of concentration, followed by delighted surprise when she hit her target, mirrored Abigail's own journey years before. In that moment, Abigail realized that her greatest achievement wasn't the technical innovations or the institutional changes. It was the simple, powerful example she had set. Sometimes the most powerful statement is simply refusing to be defined by others' expectations. If this story resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and join our community of viewers who appreciate stories of quiet strength and unexpected talent. Where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments below. We love hearing from our global audience. Everyday people are underestimated based on appearance, gender, or background. Have you ever been in a situation where you surprised others with your hidden talents? Share your experiences in the comments, and remember, the most powerful skill isn't just expertise, but the quiet confidence to stand your ground when others doubt you. Until next time.